And I saw this last night, and I saved these Twitter threads and some news articles, and I with the intent of reading it in the morning, but I decided to eat food instead. So I'm just gonna like look at all of this. And I've also got a video from Unicorn Riot. So I'm gonna play this video from Unicorn Riot first. Give us some context. It's about a minute. Yeah. So in Minneapolis, someone who, to my understanding, was a felony suspect, which is like basically that could mean anything. Oh, that guy is wearing a fucking t-shirt with a mustard stain on it, and someone who committed a crime had a t-shirt with a mustard stain on it, therefore they're a felony suspect, right? Like they just shot and killed them at a traffic stop, and then police started to be epic. So let's play this video from Unicorn Riot. An evening before New Year's Eve 2021, Minneapolis police, I couldn't read that fast enough, fatally shot a man while he was in his car in South Minneapolis. The fatal shooting occurred 1 mile from where George Floyd was killed. In a press conference, Minneapolis Police PIO said officers were engaged in a traffic stop with a felony suspect. Again, whatever that means, it doesn't mean anything. During this stop, gunfire was exchanged. The man was killed. His passenger nor police were injured. Elders said body cameras were on and recording. Authorities say they will be released tomorrow, which is today, or is that tomorrow? I'm not sure. Elders said the officers who've been sequestered were not assigned to a particular precinct, but were part of the CRT community response team. Over 100 community members gathered at the site to demand answer. The BCA is investigating. I love the song, by the way. I'm just gonna like let that have audio. It's so good. So good. I love it. You can't not love that. Like you just can't not love that, right? Like just seeing the community after what happened over the course of the summer, coming together to kind of just make sure that they can figure out what's going on. Because again, and I want to tell you this, George Floyd, when he was murdered, before the cops knew that there was someone who recorded it on their cell phone and they would upload it and it would be like the most viral video of the year. Before they knew that, the police report that the cops who murdered George Floyd wrote, were lying about everything. They lied about how they were interacting with him. They lied about him having drugs. They lied about everything. They said that their body cams weren't on. We now know that that's false. They lied about everything. Why did they lie about George Floyd? Because they thought they could get away with it. And so the only way that they don't get away with those things is if the people, the community, records them, finds out the truth. Journalists find out the truth. People need to stay engaged. Cops should not be allowed to murder anybody without a complete and thorough investigation. And in my opinion, if a police officer does not have a body camera on as they engage in lethal force, they should immediately be presumed guilty and sent to jail. No trial, nothing. Now, again, I'm being a little hyperbolic here, right? But seriously, we have body camera laws for a reason. How is it possible for a police officer to turn their body camera off, like in the case of Breonna Taylor? Oh, whoops, just not on. Whoops, my bad. I know there's a law that says that it has to be on, but it's just not on now. And all of a sudden, like, I'm just going to give you the story that doesn't make any sense. And now I walked free. That should not be allowed. Police should have mandatory body cameras at all times. And if they engage in lethal violence, they should be held accountable. If you have no record of it, then you got no alibi, as far as I'm concerned. As far as the facts are concerned, you just killed someone. Your side of the story doesn't really matter at that point. So I got an article from NPR News, and I'll read this here. Updated 11:15 p.m. last night. Minneapolis police say an officer shot and killed a man Wednesday evening at a gas station near 36th Street East and Cedar Avenue in South Minneapolis. At about 6:15 p.m., officers confronted a man believed to be a felony suspect. Again, I love how they put that in quotes because it doesn't mean anything. Like, I'm a felony suspect. You're a felony suspect. What does that mean? Like, a suspect of a felony. You're suspected of a felony. That can be applied to literally anybody. During a traffic stop, and shots were exchanged. I love it. Again, in quotes, as they should be. Exchanged? What? Elder did not say what type of felony the man was stopped for. The man died at the scene. A woman in the car was uninjured and no officers were hurt, Elder said. The officers involved came from a community response team that worked on recent carjacking cases in the city, he added. The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension is taking over the investigation, Elder said. Body cameras were on and operational at the time of the shooting. About an hour after the shooting, a crowd of about 100 people gathered around the scene. It's less than a mile from 38th Street and Chicago Avenue, the intersection where George Floyd was killed by Minneapolis police in May. At a late Wednesday night briefing, Police Chief Andrea Arradondo, said he intended to release police body camera footage from the incident on Thursday, which I believe is today. He appealed to residents gathered at the scene to stay calm. We want to do everything we can to protect everyone's First Amendment rights to freely assemble. I don't care what they say. What they say is irrelevant to me. Mayor Jacob Frey said he was monitoring the situation. Oh, well, Jacob, pretty boy, femboy Jacob Frey is monitoring the situation. I'm glad. Shouldn't we all be like, because remember when he was monitoring the situation with George Floyd? Remember? And then he wouldn't commit to defunding the police, even though everyone in the city council wanted to do so? Well, I'm glad that Jacob Frey is monitoring this. He's got his eyes on the ground, everybody. He's monitoring this. Whatever the fuck that means. Like, imagine saying that. Oh, yeah, we're monitoring the situation. What? So I've got a couple Twitter threads here with some images of the scene. And we'll see how this goes. So yeah, so here's like police. Man, I wish it would snow here. As you can see, an arriving BCA investigator tells me, I don't think it's that one, when asked if the red truck was involved. Okay. Info floating around that the killer of Jamar Clark is sitting in the passenger seat of a squad, unable to verify. I guess that's the person's name, that was killed, I believe. And again, we're going to find out more about this when the body camera footage comes out, and I will probably cover this again tomorrow. Minneapolis police with canisters of spray. People here feel they deserve to know what happened as crowds keep growing. News choppers and state patrol now hovering above. So as you can see, a lot of people gathering in this case, and again, that's perfect. Whenever police even think about shooting their gun, they should have hundreds of people with cameras on them at all times. Fuck just body cameras. Have hundreds of cell phone cameras pointed at them. They need to know that the world is watching at all times. Absolutely beautiful. So yeah, a little bit of some bonfire actions. That's nice, you know. Just seeing the people getting together, even in the face of the pandemic and everything, is just really nice to watch. But here's another Twitter thread of just, what's going on. Again, I really wish it would snow here. I love snow. But I don't want to, go out too much about that. Here we got a little video. There you go. But yeah, we're going to see what goes on with this. I really love when they shout cops out of the place. It's just great. Cops should have no authority. If the community does not want the police there, the community should be able to say, we don't want you there. This is our community. Reminder, most of the cops that work in Minneapolis live in the suburbs. They don't live in Minneapolis, right? So again, of course, all cops are terrible. There's no such thing as a good cop. The only good cop is an ex-cop. And however you get to that position of being an ex-cop, however you get that X in front of your label, however it is, that's the only kind of good cop. So, and that's the only kind of decent, like debatably good cop, right? Like most ex-cops are garbage, right? Most ex-cops are very, very, very bad. But I'll actually debate the subject if a cop can be good or not if they're no longer a cop. That's a debatable subject. But anyone who's actively serving the capitalist interests of this world, you're enemies. You're the enemies of history. You're the enemies of the present, the past, and the future. You're the enemies of everyone around you. You are a danger to your family. You are a danger to your community. You are a danger to the society that you live in. And I just think that we should not have right-wing psychopaths that have badges and guns and can just get away with killing people. Like in the case of Breonna Taylor, for example. They just got away with it because they didn't have their body cameras on. If my body camera's not on, then how are they going to prove I did anything wrong? Checkmate. Unbelievable.